Move back on to the red side of the rift, and we're into champion select now. Let's see what SKT do as far as changing up the bans, and that Yasuo one certainly fits the bill.
They definitely don't want to think too much about it. It was Alistair, Rakan, and Zoe in game number 1, so maybe a Tucson special will slide to the red side. Shen, I think both teams would like to pick up, as Shen has done some great playmaking in this series, so far winning champion in both games, I believe. But rolling on to the draft, the Talia probably has to be banned by Afreeca. Get a bit situational from there. Be surprising not to see Talia second ban. See, on the right side of the screen, Zephyr. Considering the options here are Afreeca Freecs.
Tahm Kench was actually banned as well, but Talia was the second ban in game number 1 for the Afreeca Freecs, so that makes sense. We'll see whether the Tahm is still going to be what is taken away from Effort, as Rakan taken away from Tucson as per usual. Alistair still available here.
Wonder what the resulting first pick is. If we do see the Tahm Kench ban, Orianna has been very high priority. The Shen could also be considered. Alistair is first picked away sometimes, and they say whatever to the Tahm Kench by banning away Ezreal instead. SKT need about 3 seconds to lock in their Tahm Kench.
I think that's an overstatement. I think that was about 0.2 of a second, and that Tahm Kench was locked away, so SKT knowing exactly what they want, but now Afreeca can get exactly what they want on the other side of the map. A lot of junglers available, that Shen also available.
Ori Alistair is available, and you can think of that as a duo that already gives identity to a teamfight composition. They hover the Alistair, but they will lock in the Varus. But as you're taking away, Varus Tahm Kench is the annoying marksman comp that you don't want to give over, so I don't mind the Varus pickup by Afreeca Freecs.
Also needing to lock in the Varus here because Ashe does so well into the awesome dudes on the bottom side of the map as well. So now can challenge that Ashe pick as the Afreeca Freecs with only 8 seconds to go. Thinking about what they want to take. The Alistair still just going to be taken as Afreeca lock in their bottom lane.
So Varus, Alistair versus Ashe, Tahm Kench. Almost 100% going to be the AD carry support duo.
Yep. Doesn't take a genius to figure out that line of thinking, as SKT not going to give away too much by locking this one in here. Still 10 seconds to go, as they do want to give themselves as much time to figure out these 2 rounds of picks, as Bang has a huge yawn, and we're going to switch the camera.
Sejuani available, all junglers available actually, only Talia taken of the jungle pool. Nocturne not considered a big pick in Korea anymore, I know it's still contested in other regions. Hovering the Gragas here, and they will take it. I wonder if that's a preemptive pick because of Mowgli's penchant for enjoying the Kindred. It's a bit of a blocker pick to Kindred, as Explosive Cast does a number onto the Lamb's Respite.
Also picks away the champion that Mowgli did have a decent performance on in game number 1 as well. So game number 2. Now, a few options here. Zac would be an interesting one.
It's been an old pick for Mowgli. We see it into the Sejuani matchup pretty frequently.
Yeah.
The Gragas matchup a bit different. Can body slam Zac out of the air as well. Okay, interesting. So Mowgli jumping onto the Zac. That gives them backline threat, and Zoe, sorry, Zac. I had Zoe on the mind. Zac does a number on Ashe Tahm Kench, because if you kidnap the Tahm Kench when he's got someone in his belly, you're getting a free twofer there. So a lot of threat onto the Tahm Kench. I guess that's why they were happy to leave open Tahm Kench first pick. They feel like Zac is the compositional answer to the Devourer in a team fight.
And also, Alistair Zac is so much CC that's almost guaranteed if you land that kidnap. That headbutt pulve comes in right over the top, and Afreeca Freecs can layer on whatever CC they have available to them on top of that. So I really like it. SKT with a lot of disengage options as well this game, so they can certainly play around what Afreeca Freecs have put together, as Vladimir and the Kennen going to be banned. Afreeca Freecs banning the Vlad is an interesting one.
Maybe it's going to be Keen on the GP this time. It's been a winning pick for them. I feel like they're setting up for it a little bit. The Afreeca Freecs will be even more zone control. With the ultimate, Jace also a top laner to respect when it comes to the top lane champion pool.
Yep, Darius also another champion that is available. Was banned in our first 2 games as well against Keen. But now angling towards that Vladimir means that Darius not going to be as nice.
Ooh, Galio.
Yeah, going back to an old favorite here, and this would be one hell of a pile-on composition for the Afreeca Freecs if they do lock this one in.
But it would be very much one note, so without the Camille ultimate, I think the Galio's too far. I understand why you would consider it. The GP blind pick makes a lot of sense. I wonder how far we are away from Tal busting down a Cassiopeia top. into the Gnar is a very obvious one, but the Gnar banned away this time.
Did just get that AP ratio buff on the Q.
Someone's going to play it. This guy's played Quinn already, so who's to say? Yorick Mori's been played into the GP to success for Optic Gaming. Dopa playing that one. That is a really, really good lane for the Yorick, but we never see Yorick. Nope. The Rise picked up, potentially for mid or top lane.
We're going to find out, though, potentially here, as SKT thinking about their next pickup. The Rise Tahm Kench combo is absolutely beautiful, using the Abyssal Voyage and the Realm Walk to get you all around the map at all times. Shen slunk through this entire draft, but will not be picked up here by SKT unless Tal wants to play at top lane.
Jace open in his pretty prototypical lane into the gangplank where you can punish him in the early game. It's not going to be the fancy stuff this time. It's just going to be the Jace from SKT. Very strong rotational comp with the Realm Warp and the Abyssal Voyage as well. Mobile with spotting coming through from the Hawk Shot. Afreeca Freecs' final pick. This will be a heavily nerfed Talon if they want it. 30 damage off the rake. The Vel'Koz is one that Kuro has played well, but of course was the reason they lost that game, Atlas, you remember. The face check onto the control ward in his last game on the Vel'Koz after a great start. Kuro will jump onto Vel'Koz. Strong matchup into the Rise. Can stand and deliver. Saw this to great display yesterday and got the big buff like you mentioned. 0.2 AP onto the Q for even more damage. The Tentacle Monster may in fact be the nightmare for SKT fans, or just going to be a thing to laugh about. Afreeca Freecs lock in the comp here. Let's see how the Jace is going to do topside. Some games can be decided by Jace. And will the Jace even be a top laner as they start the flex?
Yeah, we're seeing it here as 20 seconds on the clock now as SKT will be playing the Jace in the mid lane. That's going to turn that matchup on its head, as Pyrion will be able to answer the range that Kuro has pretty damn effectively and bonk him out of that ultimate if he's able to close the distance as well.
It's a much stronger matchup than the Rise, because the Rise is so predictable when he walks.
Still, packed house here in the Seoul Stadium tonight. It's getting relatively late. Afreeca Freecs, their fans still out in force. SKT, their fans definitely still out in force.
Ward kill experience goes to Kuro. Good info to level 2, and they get 2 wards here. Wow, double sweeper from both bot laners. Now, let's talk about what SKT can do. They have Jace mid lane, they have Gragas. Remember, we have Zac back in the meta as a tertiary pick, and invading Zac jungle and slowing down his jungle was one of the big meta strategies a year ago, and the LCK was also in the spring season as well, slowing down the Zac, trying to contest him. Remember all those games where Longzhu at the time were able to attack SKT on that Zac pick, and vice versa when Cuz jumped onto it. Zac can be attacked. Also, the GP can be attacked as well in the early game. If SKT can play a real high-tempo game, which Jace roams from the mid lane, the Ignite kill pressure onto the Vel'Koz. If you get defensive summoners around, start battle warding as the Gragas, maybe you can slow down the team fights, that Afreeca Freecs have a lot of options.
Yeah. Well, they'll have to navigate through that as Pyrion trying to demonstrate the power of the Jace here in the mid lane already. Keen probably going to have a fine time in the early few levels, but we'll see whether Tal can actually begin bullying once a few of those items does come in.
Here's Resolve Tree Gangplank going for. This tree has allowed Keen to win hard matchups already. A Rift Rivals was able to win the Darius matchup going for the Resolve Tree. I think
Gangplank has been incredible.
It has. He's 5-1 on the pick, and his only loss, he was hard carrying and then some, had most damage dealt in the game. Blank coming for this invade, trying to kill Mowgli. That's what we talked about.
Yeah, it does have that level 2, gets the bop. It's now Blank considering the body slam, but knew that he didn't want to have to flash to get himself out. That's going to just bully him away from this red buff.
So the reason we talked about is not just Zac's inability to skirmish early, it's that Jace, pre-level 5, is going to be able to push and roam onto the Vel'Koz, and that's what you can see. He will respond first. He's gone Longsword Ignite Jace as well to try to find pressure. This is the sort of game where you want to keep the tempo on. The vertical jungling is enacted here as he's taking the red side, and now we see the top side jungle given up. Blank is going to be spotted, trying to do as much damage onto GP Zac as possible. And of course, the stopwatch down, they're going for the dive.
Yep, Pyrion's going to be up here as well. Teleport going to come out. That's going to be the Varus, interestingly enough, was thinking about trying to save his top laner. Going to cancel it. Now Blank looking for more. Doesn't have Explosive Cask, of course. He's level 2. SKT zoning the Gangplank away from experience.
It's about 3 minion waves as well. There's so much. He has to go back, but he can't get there, and Zac doesn't provide defensive coverage. They're losing everything around Keen. This is a disaster. He's at 6 minions.
Yeah, and Tal's going to keep this pressure on. Blank's still up here as well. Not threatening the dive because Pyrion had to go back. But there's Headbutt Pulve as Bang just going to get devoured. But Mowgli's going to make his way down. Does have a pretty full health bar. Bang not even going to flash as Stretch Armstrong is going to land. They bonk heads. Cleanse is there. The heal is there, but they hold on to the flashes. And now a minion wave is going to help them do a lot of damage on the return.
Confidence from both Bang and Effort to hold on to their flashes there. Both other summoners used, but no ability to capitalize in Peanut-esque fashion. GP's just happy he got back to the lane. He was in danger of being zoned out of so many waves. Blank's not done. This is what you do. When you're facing this Zac GP, you try to hold them down. Gragas and Ryze will win skirmishes. Jace rotates first before there's multiple levels in the W for Kuro. Can't move, and he has the cleanse also to show respect. Cleanse against a Jace. That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Didn't know, of course, it was going to be Ignite Jace in the mid lane. Obviously, had the confirmation.
Yeah, maybe he didn't actually
Jace.
switch it over in time, as he thought it might have been the Ryze instead.
See, it's not so much that. As Vel'Koz against Ashe compositionally, you need either QSS or Cleanse. True. Otherwise, you poke for a Q and you die. But then you see Ignite Jace, and you're like, okay, well, this sucks.
Hey,
so
you can cleanse the Ignite.
That's why Ignite is the right choice, because you have the Ignite, and now Kuro will always orb walk back at every moment, afraid of a all-in trade, and he knows that Gragas has the run of the jungle. Therefore, Jace has lane control and can roam. It all plays into take over the topside jungle, hold down the Gangplank, the tempo gameplay you expect with a mid lane Jace.
Yeah. It feels like both of these Gangplank compositions, Game 2, now into Game 3, getting abused just a little bit by each side. See whether Tal's going to be able to keep this pressure on. Of course, Keen able to get back as the teleport wasn't actually used from Tal, sorry, to get him back into this lane as Mowgli. Going to walk over Vision.
That was Gragas' ward, remember? That's the reason they don't know about it, because Blank warded for his top laner. So yeah, the Gragas warded for his top laner there to provide coverage. Blank lying in wait.
Yeah, see whether Mowgli's going to be able to survive this one. No barrel available
Chilling
yet.
Smite just to open up space.
Yep, gets the body slam down as well. Another teleport gained here on the top side of the map.
It's the Gangplank,
Yeah,
so this time
come back in.
not as big. The wave in just a horrible spot for the Gangplank.
It was well orchestrated
This
by
is
Tal as
really
well.
bad also. He stepped over a ward, so Gragas knows that the Zac is around the mid lane, but Blank not going to look for the gank. Keen's flash, importantly, still up.
Another fantastic ward. Like you say, yeah, trying to get him even more information. That's the ward you were talking about. Control ward is also going to be taken as there's double control ward vision now available for Tal, who's got his tier, happily stacking that one up. And Keen, he's at the mercy of the Gragas' position here this game.
You know he's so tilted with where the wave is at. He's like, really, I had to deal with all this, and the wave is in a terrible spot. He finally gets ultimates, now he can ult the wave next time it's in a bad spot.
See whether he just ults it straight away off cooldown.
As a Rumble player, I'm used to ulting waves.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
stupid wave.
There's so many counter picks to the champion I enjoy playing. That's what has to happen.
Yep, I get it. I mean, Misfortune, same thing. That's my favorite one, just bullet timing a minion wave. Well, Keen, he's at least got his barrels that he can farm at range with, but it does get a little bit more difficult as Gragas is potentially going to turn up. Mowgli's just going to go back. Sets himself up here just for a potential counter gank, but you can see Tal, he's got so much information. Even that lane ward to make sure that the Zac's not going to come in that way. There is no way for this Zac to gank, and that is crazy because he's a dang Zac.
Also interesting how much of a lead Ashe has in what has been a very isolated bot lane matchup. No one has gone bot lane this game.
Yep, teleport was cancelled by aiming, if you remember, meaning that he wasn't able to utilize that. Bang had his heal on cooldown pretty early on, so not as much of a detriment there to aiming.
There was that one Zac gank, but since then, been able to open up a nice CS lead. Keeping up the flash, very important to make that happen. Things get a bit more comfortable as he can ult waves. Vel'Koz has level 7, so now he can clear waves to double Ws. So definitely the earliest part of the game is where the most pain is going to be laid onto the Zac and also Keen on this Gangplank. No stopwatch online just yet. We're going to be up in a second. So they've weathered a bit of a storm here, have Afreeca Freecs. It definitely gets better for them as the game goes on.
Well, Bang waiting for that level 6. You can see the experience will actually be enough here as this minion wave dies.
They don't know Gragas is here.
Yeah, and remember, there's no Devour on the side of an Alistair. There it is. It's going to land immediately and delivered back into the team. Headbutt flash is pretty good, but Effort gets the Devour, just eats him where he stands.
Tyrion also here.
Yeah, not going to get the empowered
They
shot blast,
really
but
want
there's the
this.
Abyssal Voyage. We're going to stack this one up real quick, and bang, he's going to grab his kill. But can Mowgli get the work done? Oh, doesn't get the body slam on the side of Blank, and the kidnap. The special delivery of Effort is going to give the kill over to Kuro. But in the end, it is a 1-for-2 trade in favor of KT.
Really
SKT.
It's really important that they're able to pick up at least one Atlas because Aiming has teleport. He's only level 6 with the death timer that was buffed in 8.13 to be shorter in the early game. Gets him back, and it's not a huge gold trade the way of SKT. Really nice roam, though. This is how you use the mid lane, Jace. He's so fast around the side lanes. They already had control. We mentioned how it was better times for Zac and GP. Well, the bot lane felt the brunt of the power that time. Freaking trying to pick up the Ocean Drake. Remember, this was a great steal away by Blank in game number 1.
Yeah, Secret Agent Gragas actually going to be backing here on his control ward, because he knows exactly what's going on, but doesn't have the manpower in order to take this one down.
I've never heard of 002, so I'm not surprised that he wasn't able to pull anything off.
Yeah. I mean, he was lost, I think. Just the riders gave up.
Now, 6-1-2.
Character's
I've
too
heard of
boring.
that guy. 6-1-2. Numbers can be funny, but the only number these two teams care about is 5. They want to get to 5th spot. They want to make it to playoffs. And this game, of course, may not be a best-of-1 playoffs, but it feels close.
Whoa.
And speaking of close, that's a lot of damage onto Keen.
It is, as Tal. He's only got a tier, remember? And he's probably sitting on almost Rod of Ages money up here towards the top side with 80 CS, 10 minutes. Not too bad on the side of Tal. He had a day out in game number 1, wants to have another one here in game 2.
Summoners down on the bot side. Effort cycling through his summoners, just ghosts in lane randomly.
Yep.
Abyssal Voyage not up just yet. That's going to be something they're going to consider. So much respect has to be shown by Aiming. Tucson on the front foot. What a strong lane Alistair Varus is. In scenarios like this, it really is frustrating.
Yep. And not going to walk up into that second brush. I believe Vision was known about here by SKT. So not going to be able to find anything is Blank, but just setting up for it. As soon as that arrow is off cooldown, feels pretty free. Just hang out. Mowgli, he's down, but
Chips
remember.
in the night here.
And with the control ward Vision, he's spotted. Kuro as well is going to find Blank. Knock up. He's going to register there as well as Elastic Slingshot. It's good. And the Gragas could just get disintegrated. Abyssal Voyage to come in. The timing on the kidnap was real nice. And the Cannon Barrage comes in to confirm the kill. Meanwhile, the Abyssal Voyage was stopped. The Afreeca Freecs are going to be able to stand here and deliver. Arrow is going to land from Bang, but effort was just too low. And Mowgli, he's coming around to try and claim even more.
He's not spotted just yet. Effort's going to spot him. He's going to face check him now.
Yep, finds him. 1 versus 2, though, is going to mean that Zac's not going to be able to get too much, but going to eat his globules, and everything's going to be fine.
Giving SKT a bit of their own medicine. They've been zoning people off turrets since very early in this game, but not going to find too much value. Bang's last bit of mana is a W there, the volley enough to get them away. This matchup is still going well for the Rise, but a bit of a stabilization from Keen, who probably is going to be Spectre's Cowl into the Trinity Force. Just a acceptable loss for the Gangplank.
Yep.
So what Pyrion's next move will be, he needs to keep up the tempo plays. Jace mid is not a thing because he's not a control mage. Commonly a thing, he's not a control mage, and you really need to hit the game running with the Jace. Was able to do that once. Looked for more kills on the bot side, got an assist, but wasn't able to pick up the second kill, and there was the answering kill from the Afreeca Freecs. The game goes on. We're much more reliable about what Afreeca Freecs comp will do in a team fight than SKT's. It doesn't mean there's no chance. There's great rotational play available for the Realm Warp and the Abyssal Voyage. But if you lose map control, those rotations are going to be defensive ones, and that's where the value starts to fall away for SKT.
And also, Afreeca Freecs have a lot of champions that they are extraordinarily happy to have. Aiming, one of his best performances, was on this Varus. Tucson now has his engaged support option. Kuro has looked good on the Vel'Koz. Keen has his god-tier Gangplank that had so much attention early and is now only 20 CS behind and happily farming it out against the Rise, now that Blank has not been giving him as much attention and the Cannon Barrage is available for him. Now on cooldown, but is going to be back up relatively soon.
You notice that Afreeca are surrendering a wave. Reason for that is the control ward is dominated by the Tahm Kench, and they're respecting the play to come in from the Abyssal Voyage. So you'll see against a Tom Kench lane, if you're red side, you take the Gromp pretty easily. It's much easier to take the Krug, it's a bit more annoying.
Yeah.
You just take the Gromp and you wait for the minions to push in. Can't just let the minion wave freeze because you're not sure about what the enemy's doing. They might be roaming themselves, so that's the reality there. You just take the Gromp. It's a camp that Zach is happy enough to give up. He's better on the AoE camps anyway.
Well, Pyrion taking a bit of poke here from Kuro, which is actually great news because top side of the map, SKT will have priority around the Rift Herald. That has spawned already, is classic slingshot being charged from Mowgli, but he suspects that he's on a ward. And speaking of this Rift Herald, it is going to be started here from Blank.
Love to pick this up. One of the few ways to push through GP ult, GP barrels, and also the Vel'Koz wave clear would be a Rift Herald. SKT could try to leash it upwards. Rox Tigers put off that cool move where they leashed it upwards and ended up not easy to contest for the enemy jungler, but for now at least, I think Mowgli's job is about stopping things. He's in the mid lane.
Yeah, Pyrion gets a bit of movement speed, but still has to flash to get out of the way of the Disintegration Ray of Kuro. That now on cooldown might mean that SKT can find some options, but having no flash on the Jace is a problem as Bang, once again in a very weird position, and the ultimate barely going to get out of the way of Effort, who used the Devour to save the Ashe. Rotation was odd.
I don't know about the flash as well when it comes to odd moves, because why would you rush Hex Drinker then flash this early before the Hex Drinker's even popped? I don't believe he was researched. I don't think it was doing true damage. So maybe just too much concern shown by Pyrion. It is a must-win game. It is a different scenario. Some of our other games, the Pyrion experiment, people were obviously umming and eyeing about for a long time. They beat Genji, and that was the real contender they beat to give people more faith in SK Telecom. This is another one, though. You're only as good as your last series. All their series are must-win. See if Pyrion can have a turnaround game. 3 years, this has definitely been his weakest of the 5 sets he's played in a row so far.
Yeah, a passenger in their victory on the Swain, and then not able to get anything done, really, on the Orianna in game number 2. Now on the Jace has a lot more tools available to him. Should be able to help take down Shelly here as well.
Yep. They still have this tempo. They're still able to push forward. They pick this one up. They can start to roll down the outer turrets at 15 minutes. No real turret damage has been done when it comes to getting close to lethal. They spot Zac on bot side. Ultra safety for SKT. Free Rift Herald. Good feeling for SKT.
Yep, they'll easily gather that one. Top lane outer turret also has taken a lot of damage, so SKT will be able to push this lead ever forward. 500 gold.
Damn, that was
Here's
quick.
the lead, and I'm not sure whether you want to do this, to be honest, because it's going to get a charge on a turret that's basically dead already. Okay, feels like a wasted Shelly.
Maybe they're going for the 2-for-1 special. That'd be the only reason to argue it. They would have seen Mowgli going bot side to answer the turret.
Well, they're going to have to push forward here as another Disintegration Ray comes in. The boot back from Pyrion this time around, but now the damage is going to come forward, and Keen picks it up all too easily with the Cannon Barrage. Kuro almost had that damage himself, but in the meantime, Shelly is going to continue pounding here on the top inner turret. Keen doesn't have ult to save himself.
Keen gets to the backside, gets the eye, clears it out, and Afreeca also. May not be a solo kill, but it's a big moment for Kuro in the mid lane. This comes through from Keen. It's more gold for the GP. Going on to this turret dive.
Yep, there's the body slam as Blank has the ultimate, throws it in there, but going to be a little bit late as aiming teleports in to save him. Dragon's going to fall as well as Mowgli did most of that work. Just Afreeca trading up here against the Rift Herald play. That's bad news for SKT.
Trading up him in pretty clean fashion, Atlas. They don't use flash or the stopwatch on that play. Keen, you require killer instinct to be able to actually force something out of him. He will not use his summoners. Nice moment from Kuro on this Vel'Koz, standing and delivering, and Pyrion had no way to outplay with his flash on cooldown. Knight wouldn't have changed anything about the all-in. The blue buff is picked up, and things going better than expected for Afreeca after SKT were making nice aggressive moves to shut down the Zac and GP top side early.
Yep, and it just feels like as soon as Keen picks the gangplank, you can put as much pressure on him as you want, but it's just one of those champions that feels like it's always going to get to a certain point in the game, and you have to try and play around Keen being on this power pick for himself. Has once again got to that point. He, yes, of course, is behind in farm by a relatively large amount, but he's escaped the laning phase now. The gangplank will be able to get himself around, use his barrels. There's another knock-up, an effort. He might even be in trouble here as Bang was fully researched. The Devour had to be used to keep him safe.
Good news for SKT fans. Even though they're behind, they are ahead in gold by about 300. The behind term doesn't really apply. The game is very even at this point. And SKT's comp is very reliable in the mid game. It does what it says on the Till. They have double AoE mobility spells in the Abyssal Voyage and also the Realm Warp. They have good pick, very strong pick CC on this team, and picking up some kills and turning onto the Baron is a very real thing for SKT. They have a marksman play the Ruin King. They have good Baron threat from the Rise as well. So while Afreeca have done some nice plays in the last 5 minutes or so, it hasn't really changed the state of the game, and SKT, there's still a game they win.
Well, Mowgli's looking to try and get this kidnap as well. The knockups are coming in from everywhere, but bang! He's going to be the most important target, and aiming takes him down. SKT now underneath their turret. It's the only pick that they've got at the moment as Pyrian walks over a control ward. Afreeca Freecs have full knowledge again with another disintegration ray, and Kuro's having a day out on the Vel'Koz.
Pyrian top lane with the Ignite, trying to rotate out of the Vel'Koz lane after the bad feels at the last moment. They got the double control ward down, nice engage by Mowgli, and they're walking up again.
Yep, they're looking for Pyrian. There's 4 members against 2 here as Blank even gives his position away, and Afreeca Freecs will take their second turret of the game. Tal trying to get work done bottom side, but he's just trying to deal with Keen, make sure that he's locked down. It's not going to be enough, even getting hit by these barrels. It's not the same situation where Tal's able to play so aggressive, but thankfully does still have the passive shield to help him win these trades.
And is that the momentum shifter? Is that the one? It feels like a dagger in the heart of the SKT hopes of qualifying for playoffs, and also where their Worlds qualification does lie. They have the points from finishing 4th in Spring. So there is still a real chance they will go on to playoffs for when it comes to those World qualifiers, at least. In the bot lane here, Keen managing pretty well with only a little bit of magic resist from the Merc Treads. The map control for the Zac is the problem here for SKT. With their tempo draft, they would want vision onto the Raptors, vision onto every camp, and to see the Zac coming, but Afreeca put down 2 control wards. Mowgli found the engage, and that has swung the pendulum even further to the side of Afreeca Freecs.
And Kuro hasn't had to use his summoner spells almost at all this game. It's just been a really smooth Vel'Koz experience for him, not in silly positions and able just to navigate distances so nicely on a pick that can be a real problem for. Tal, at least the investment in the early game for the Rise has paid off. He's able to grab lane priority on the bottom side and even out those turrets and even out the gold entirely. Afreeca just has double Ocean Drake to put them theoretically ahead.
Theoretically, part may be important. I think effectively right now, I would give them the lead, but as we mentioned, SKT have a very fast ability to turn this game into a Baron with a pick, so definitely right now, things relatively even. If Afreeca though, I feel like the game is won. If you look down at the minimap, you see control wards nearest to the river, and a Zac ready to load up with no information to the side of SKT. The moment you're Tahm Kench and Ashe against basically any other jungler, you think, I got my Tahm Kench, I'm ready to go. I'll get a couple of turret shots in and then move away. Against the Zac and his ability to kidnap, flashes down on effort, the chance of getting out are low. They need to know everything about the Zac, and that's really slowing down SKT's mid lane plays.
Well, thankfully, Blank is able to control Mowgli a little bit here. Shock Blast is going to fly forward as well as they're trying to get the Zac, who tries to kidnap, but doesn't get in there as Pyrian. He's going to get researched and taken down in the belly of his Tahm Kench. Effort eats the grey health, but it's not enough. And Bang has to flash to get out of the way, and watch as his catfish is going to die. Afreeca Freecs, beautiful trade back, and no one even dies.
They thought they had the catch on the Zac, they don't get it, and now Afreeca Freecs walk up to the Baron. Are they going to start it here? They are. They have aiming with this play the Ruin King. What are SKT going to do?
Well, they're going to use Tal to split push on the bottom side, as it looks like they're planning on giving this one up. Papa Smithy, teleport's going to come in. Okay, so we're going to see whether Tal can actually affect this one. But Blank's incredibly low. Bang, he's got absolutely no mana, and Tal has to be the hero. Can he get the Flux in here, as he is going to use the Realm Warp? Blank, he's going to get in there. That goddamn Baron again! 2 games in a row, Blank is the hero! Tal over to the side, wants to get Mowgli, doesn't! They sacrifice the Rise, but SKT get the Baron.
You can't keep him out of the pit after the Realm Walk. The Realm Walk to Gragas into the Baron was really smart from SKT. They get in, the smite is good for Blank, and that means that this game is far from over.
Oh my goodness, Blank 2 in a row, the smite steal god. And look at this, special delivery.
And Afreeca are DPSing it because they don't put 2 and 2 together. It's so creative, but so well done by the side of SKT. They lose 2 more members, but they stole the Baron. And they lost 4 kills for it, but you'll call #worth if you're an SKT fan. think Afreeca Freecs are still in a really good spot in this game. But the gold lead doesn't show it, and that Baron buff on a couple will delay the game for SKT.
Yeah, the engage control that Afreeca Freecs have with Mowgli playing so well on the Zac as well as Kuro having a lot of space in the back line of these team fights feels like their front-to-back fight is more reliable from the Afreeca Freecs. But SKT with a Baron buff might be able to snowball themselves a real advantage here. Currently 500 gold, but that could just extend. There's no teleport available on Tal. Use that to get into this Baron pit. 3 Ocean Drakes isn't necessarily the most fantastic situation, but Kuro, he's going to be pretty happy, as well as Aiming's ability to go through his mana relatively quickly.
How is it still so tense? Game number 3 here. It looked like SKT would pick up an easy 2-0 after they powered through in game number 1, but some mistakes from Mang led to Afreeca seizing it fully with the team fight draft they had in game number 2. That one went long, but could have gone even longer.
Also, it felt like Afreeca Freecs cleaned up their play in game number 2 quite a lot. Being able to play more reserved, more controlled, had vision available when they needed it. SKT suffocated them in game number 1, but they could not do anything like that in game 2, and now once again in game number 3.
But does the Baron buff get them any structures? It's a steal, so obviously much harder to get a huge Baron buff power play.
Yeah.
A lot of standing gold. Can they actually harass Kuro away from this turret? As you mentioned, doesn't like using summoners ever.
No. And he's going to hold on to it here as... Oh, I thought we were going to have like a Harry Potter wizard battle there as the Siege minion and the Vel'Koz's projectiles look relatively similar. Doesn't happen, and the Siege minion's going to die. Or maybe he's Harry Potter in this scenario.
Oh, doesn't have the Baron buff in this scenario, so isn't going to be getting the work done the side lane that Pyrion was in the previous game.
Yep.
Ghost pop, they're going for this.
Arrow's going to fly forward, and finally a summoner spell hit by Kuro, but that's going to buy them enough time. They take down the outer turret in the mid lane. Delivery on the cow as Tucson has the ultimate, is going to survive this one, decides not to re-engage. Pyrion is going to land the accelerated shock blast. SKT scatter, looking to try and get as many more openings on this map as they can find.
A lot of huff and puff, but only a turret will go down. Still, SKT will feel good about finally delaying. Finally picking up the mid lane outer turret that was delayed by Afreeca for 25 minutes. That turret being up represents so much for the Zac because it gives them so much space to look for those Zac engages.
Yeah.
And so few ways for SKT to actually scout out anything that's happening on this red side jungle from Afreeca Freecs has gotten them so much value so far. Most of the good moments have come from Zac either engaging or being engaged on around the Raptors. The safety of that happening again is going to go down for a little while. I want to talk a bit about the Vel'Koz because actually there's been 0 games of Vel'Koz in the LCS regions in summer of 2018. No games in EU, no games in NA. The 0.2 AP ratio buff, 20 extra damage per 100 AP is so big on a short cooldown spell. It's another one of these small buffs, but the small buff to Orianna made her first pick, first man. The small buff to Vel'Koz for the LCK, where we already saw so much Vel'Koz, is a very relevant change.
Yeah, it's super huge, and Kuro is showing us exactly why. 3-0 and 5 now. By the way, PubSmith, if you want to know the time, ask an Afreeca Freecs member, because everyone has that information. Afreeca, in fact, able to get a Baron buff power play for themselves without even getting the Baron.
That's because the Baron was pushing minions into Afreeca Freecs and not getting too many structures. So the kills afterwards also, you'll remember, they got 2 kills.
Yeah.
So that was the reason there, but SKT didn't really have much business picking up a Baron. They stole it away, so you're definitely feeling good about the Baron not being worn by Afreeca Freecs.
Yep, and it certainly was going to be a different story had the Baron gone the other direction as well. That may have been just the death nail for SKT this time around. Certainly not, as the gold is neck and neck. This stage of the game, look at both compositions. It's hard to know exactly where the late game lies.
I give it to the side of Afreeca. I think the Jace is once again not snowballed. He's going to struggle. A lot of value in Ryze and Ashe, and Gragas and Tahm Kench do their job, but give it over the side of Afreeca Freecs. But execution can be the SKT way. Rotational play, that can be the SKT way. Getting a flash out of Kuro feels really good too.
Yep, the arrow, of course. Going to make sure that one comes in, so you might say, oh, Bang missed an arrow. Nope, he got it. Being able to get that flash is so important, as Kuro hasn't had to flash so far, I don't think, this game. Until this moment, 27 minutes in.
I would say that Kuro and Aiming more reliant on their summoners than Pyrion and Bang, and that could be relevant here. Tahm Kench can spare the blushes of one, and Jace is very mobile around a fight. But Cleanse will be back up, so theoretically Kuro will have one summoner every time a large frost arrow is sent his way.
Might be one moment where maybe an arrow comes up before the cleanse comes back up as well as the flash, potentially. But I think you're right, Papa Smithy. I think the Kuro should be able to at least utilize one of them. Might be a different opportunity for these guys. Aiming somehow manages to miss that cannon creep. Incredibly upset.
Again, cannon creeps are not dying this week.
Yeah.
It is definitely a cannon minion awareness week.
I was going to say that. But I don't like those because that's just a lot of money going begging. It's bothersome. Worth so much more now. Ugh, am I a cannon minion hater?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Aficionado. If you were talking about eating minions, and remember the Korean term is to eat minions, so I guess they're aficionados if they can get the cannon minions. But
makes very short work of the Rift Scholar, speaking of minions that are dying.
Ocean Race on the side of Afreeca. I noted that it was 3 so far this game. Tal.
Wandering casually forward here as he just realm warps to get himself very close to a Disintegration Ray and then towards the rest of the Afreeca Freecs. That was such a weird play, Tal.
We call that one a panic. He just panic altered in any direction that wasn't there. And unfortunately, it was a delivery to the side of Afreeca Freecs. In service of what, though? Baron's still on the map. Mountain spawning in 10 seconds. That would be a lot of Drakes. They could actually spawn a 5th one if they got it in the next 40 seconds.
Yeah, well, Teleport is available here for Tal. So he's going to be back up in 30 seconds. Be difficult for Afreeca Freecs to fully commit to this one as they are going to jump onto this Baron. Teleport is going to come in. Keen's going to get himself back into this fight.
No realm warp this time, Atlas.
Yep, not going to happen. Blank's going to have to get himself in there this time. Shock Blasts are pretty good for poking people out of a pit like this. Blank's able to get some vision. Hawkshot's going to be there for Bang as well if they want to. Effort from over the side. They do get the headbutt, and then the Baron is going to get taken down, but now can they win the team fight? Remember, it's 4 versus 5. Mowgli gets himself in there as Keen gets rid of Blank. It's all too easy, and Bang has to disengage. Afreeca Freecs finally get themselves the Baron.
This time they're able to problem solve their way there. Effort didn't have the smite either, had the cleanse from the unsealed spellbook. No way to get him in there because the Realm Warp was the one that went down. They lose the turret, but they'll take it, even though Keen's a bit tilted that his barrels missed on that case, and all SKT can take is a compensatory Mountain Drake on the bottom side.
Yeah, that is not the consolation prize that you want to be picking up either, as Tal. He's going to blast cone his way over, trying to make friends with his team again. Is going to be difficult after this super weird play.
Yeah, he just went for a panic. He panic ulted, it didn't go well. Tucson was there, took him down. That is a sign of panic. And we were talking about the compensation Drake. Almost feels like the participation award if you lose this series, Atlas, because of what it means for that top 5 and how this game is all about playoff implications. We only have 6 days of regular season matches left. And SKT would be at the whims of so many other teams if they lost here. Same story for Afreeca Freecs if they go down. Our runners-up from the summer season, from the spring season. They push forward, they love to break the base. Let's see what SKT can do.
Yeah, Afreeca Freecs also in complete control of their destiny as they're going to be taking on the other team that's on the same match score as them before this series as well. So Hanwha Life Esports going to be next cab off the rank for the Afreeca Freecs. Great news for them, but terrible news if you're an SKT fan. This is okay news as the inner turret is being taken by Tal very easily. As SKT able to stave off the Afreeca Freecs, moving 5 members into the mid lane.
They have summoners on Bang and Pyrians. They feel like they're not going to be dived. Trying to make a trade. But Afreeca gets a couple picks, the game could just end.
Well, taking a trade here against a team that has the Baron buff is certainly good news. As you can see, Tal, he's able to take this one down. They're looking to try and just win the game. Cannon Barrage comes in, 3-man Pulverize was good from Tucson, but they haven't managed to pick anyone up just yet. Arrow is going to land, but can they keep them off? These Nexus turrets, Disintegration Ray, not enough as Tal does move his way in and means that they're not going to lose their inhibitor on the bottom side of the map.
So a Baron for 1 minute 11. Only 1 member down for SKT.
Yeah, aiming going to be free hitting these Nexus turrets, though only 1 is going to remain as the Afreeca Freecs should be able to do it off just 1 Baron. In goes Pyrian, he flashes forward and he explodes to the damage of Kuro. Now, Tal's going to be able to answer 1 back. It's only on to the Alistair, though, and it's a double kill now. Kuro making this Vel'Koz look completely busted. 1 kill after the other. The flash forward from Keen to get space for them on the Nexus. And Afreeca Freecs, they've done it. 4,000 gold's the only lead that they managed to